Alrighty, so with that being said, I just had to get that out there. We're going to go ahead and bring up our next guy, keep this show moving. Please give another wonderful, warm Red Star welcome to Doug Powhida.
Thank you. I'm sorry. We really have to give it up for my friend Chris. He stood up here. That was at least a good 12, 15 minutes. No script. I mean, he just laid it out. There's only maybe 7 or 8 mistakes he made. That's cool. But he's the reason I'm down here now. He called me up. He's like, hey, I'm going to do this, my riff. He's like, I just got to get it out of my system. And I was like, I'm coming down. I asked my wife, can I go down? I actually bought the tickets before I asked her, but I was like, So, great job, Chris. Thank you very much for having this happen. All right, now I'll start my show. My name is Doug Powhida. I am from Ohio. Whoa. Who's from Ohio? Fucking people are everywhere. Unlike most of these Ohio people will be leaving tomorrow. Who's all staying? I also didn't know, I had all these tiny little note cards with all my notes on them. And these people are bringing up like dictionaries full of notes, and I rewrote all my stuff. Not that I worked on this yesterday. But so I don't need to tell any of you how Ohio and Florida are any different, right? I mean, I think we all get that they're slightly different. In Ohio, when I have coworkers who are like, oh my God, traffic was really bad. I was 10 minutes late to work. In Florida, it's like, dude, where were you last week? And it's like, oh, I didn't catch the light over on Kennedy, so I just did a U-turn and went home. There are fire trucks that'll be racing to a fire, and there'll be like a huge intersection full of cars, and the driver's just like, hey, dude, we could set this house on fire right here and just put that out. Is that cool? So I would say that us Northerners, us Ohioans, traffic is probably one of those things that we've brought down here. I'm not sure how many of you go to sporting events in Florida, but in Ohio, you go to a Cleveland Indians game, if the Indians are playing the Rays, it's like 98% of the people there are Cleveland fans, 2% Rays fans. You go to a Rays game in Florida, half the people are Rays fans, and half the other people are from Ohio, so it's there's what the fuck? Come on, can we not have? So what else have us Northerners brought down here? I think clearly ice hockey is one of those things. What the hell is ice hockey doing in Florida? I mean, what do you guys use? Dry ice? Just keep from melting? No. Checking the notes, not like Chris. At this point, I've got to segue to sheep, that Ohioans would bring sheep down there. I forget what that note was all about. I did something that Ohio, in general, and Florida have in common is Uber. I took an Uber over here, a nice gentleman from some foreign country. I don't say that in a bad way, but it's just sometimes it's just hey, there's a dude, he's from out, so you're hey, where are you from? And he's just Senegal. And it's what's your name? And he's Bob. And it's dude, I'm liberal. Come on, what's your name? It's all right, it's Robert. I do love Uber, but there was something, I'm not sure how many of you are old enough to remember taking a taxi, where it's you get in a taxi and it's dirty and it's stinky, but the person driving you would get you from point A to point B nobody's business, running over people, sidewalks, alleys, whatever. But Uber's great, it's a clean car, there's a bottle of water, the person's talking to you, how was your day? So I'm thinking about combining those two things. How about taxi and Uber? You'd call it Tuber, right? Yeah, right. And then you start, it's what else could there be? Like, how about a Uber driver that brings you weed? Duber, right? Yeah. What else? What else? Anyone? What else? What other Ubers are there? What? Boober, the guy that takes you to the strip club. Anything else? Loomer, the guy that takes you to the other kind of strip club. So, I didn't go through the whole dictionary of like super, Uber, yeah, Y-board, super, right? Y, E-board. So I come from a smaller town in Ohio. I'm sure none of you have heard of Lancaster. My mom is here too, so it's, Lancaster just got Uber.
All right.
It's not really Uber. It's just like you like walk out of the bar and go Uber, and then like a pickup truck comes around the corner. There's like 3 or 4 other people back there. There's a couple dogs, Confederate flag. You get in the back. Maybe they get you home. You know, it's our form of Uber. Before that, though, what you would have to do is like you'd walk to like the local pizza place, and then you'd order a pizza for wherever you wanted to go. And then when the driver came out with your pizza, you'd be like, "Hey, can you just take me where you're taking the pizza?" And the ride is free if it's not there in 30 minutes. So I didn't do like I try to be one of those like poor Chris. Poor Chris lives in a house where he's trying to always be conscious of not offending other people. Douching and otherwise. So it's like, you know, I've got like the redneck accent where it's like, "Hey y'all, Doomer, we're gonna take the Doomer and get some weed." But then the other accent I have is like other, which is like, is that, you know, India? Is it Southern Africa? I don't know. But the one time I used it, and it was very successful, was when I was a teenager and I worked at the Baskin Robbins. You're all familiar with Baskin Robbins, 31 flavors? So in back, we had the name tag making machine. So one night we made a name tag that was like JAMOYLXRTME. Put it on me, button my shirt all the way up, put the hat on all the way down, and my name was, I was now Yamol, and I was from Uganda, and I was a foreign exchange student. So all that night, I treated the customers as Yamol from Uganda. And I was very nervous because I was new to this country and I didn't want to, you know, upset anybody. But I had my coworker Dave, and Dave would treat me as if I was his slave. And so, like, I would talk to the customers and I'd be like, "Would you like a sugar cone or a regular cone?" And they'd be like, "Sugar cone." And I'd be like, "Okay." And I'd have a regular cone, and Dave would come over and he'd slap it out of my hand and be like, "No, you mole! Sugar cone!" And then I would count out money. And I'd be like, $1, and they'd be like, "No, you mole! Count the change first." I'd be like, "I'm sorry, Dave." So I'm doing this whole Yamol thing for about, it seemed like forever, it's probably about an hour. And so at one point I'm counting back change, $1 American, $2 American. And in walk my good friend's parents, who know me very well. And they're like, "Hey Doug, how's the play going? How's acting? You know, Don told us all about the play." And I look over at them and I'm like, "Yes. $4. $5 is 10, good day." And luckily they were taking care of somebody else. So I let them go, and then later his parents went home and they were like, "We don't think Doug recognized us." So the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight was about being married. I have a very lovely wife. She's the most, the nicest person in the world, saintly, as many would say. We've been married for going on 21 years this year. It's all me, it's not her. We lived in Fort Lauderdale together, and we kind of worked on different schedules so that I had Mondays off. So one Monday, I'm like, I'm going to make my wife an apple pie. So I made crust, got the apples, peeled them all, cut them all up, mixed all that shit up, baked it, gave her an apple pie. She got home, and it's like, hey, I made an apple pie. And she's like, thank you. That's so nice. The week goes by, and because we worked on different schedules, on Saturday I was at work, and she was at home. She's cleaning up. She pulls the trash can back, and there are fucking apple peels all over the wall from where I was like, pew, 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 pew. And I came home, and she's like, you really did make that apple pie. And I was like, yeah, I did. She's like, there's peels all over the fucking wall. I thought you just bought it. And that's when I realized that women, wives, just don't need like the final product. They don't need to see what's there. They need proof. They need to see you doing it or some version of that. So me, being a husband, I put that back here, and I remembered that. And so like, when I would do stuff, it's like I would do the dishes and I wouldn't put them away because otherwise she'd never know I did them. And then like if I would mop the floor, I'd put a sign down that said wet floor. Even if like 2 days later, she'd be like, why is the sign here? It's like, oh, I mopped the floor 2 days ago. I just want to make sure that everybody's aware. And then I started like one day, we have cats, and one day the cat, that.
I know, right?
Yeah. No, I swear, it was your shoe. It was your shoe. We all know.
My shoe.
The cat.
One day the cat threw up on the upholstery, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna call her up. She was not at the house, and I was like, hey honey, the cat threw up on the upholstery. Should I use the vinegar on that? She's like, oh, absolutely, you want to use the vinegar, clean that up. And I'm like, great. Clean it up, leave the vinegar there. And I'm like, I can do this every fucking day. I can be like, oh, honey, the cat threw up on the carpet upstairs. Whatever. And just like, she'd be like, oh, that's great, that's wonderful. So one day I'm like, honey, the cat threw up on the leather couch. And I'm just like waiting for her to recognize how great I am. And then she's like, you're going to want to send me a picture of that. I want to see where it's at. And it's like, oh, okay. Let me get a photo. It's like, oh shit. She's at Target so she can buy whatever she needs to clean it up. And I'm like, oh God. So it's like, I need there to be cat puke on the couch. So I'm like grabbing the cat and I'm like, come on. That doesn't work. So I'm like, all right. I get a hand of cat food. And I'm standing over the couch, spitting this out. And then she comes in and she's like, I got leather clean. Oh my God. All right, thanks everybody. Thank you.
One more time for Doug, everybody. Yeah. All right.
That was outstanding.
We're going to go